Hello, this is Joe Kwan, the Connection Counselor, and welcome to Executive Tune-Up. So today we're going to talk about a somewhat polarizing topic, mindfulness. A lot of people, like myself, are really into meditation and mindfulness and think it's great. Other people are not so convinced, or maybe theoretically they think it's great, but they really don't have the time or inclination to meditate or do the more traditional things that are related to mindfulness or that you might take in a class. So today I'm going to share a little bit about a mindfulness paradox, how once we understand it, anyone can get the benefits of mindfulness, whether you're into the traditional ways of sitting and meditating or not, because whether it doesn't matter how you get there, the benefits are really great for your career. All right, so what do we mean by the mindfulness paradox? So I often find that sometimes the way things are branded or the way we think about things or the way that's the most commercial or common can actually prevent more people from getting the benefit. Now, full disclosure, I've been meditating for over 10 years, ever since I started training in Aikido. I love it. I've had great results from it. However, I don't think everyone should meditate, or I don't think it's for everyone. And I don't think you need to do that particular practice to be very mindful or get the benefits of mindfulness. And I use my wife, Heather, for example. She is one of the most mindful people I know, oftentimes, maybe all the time, more mindful than I am. And she doesn't meditate at all, can't stand meditation. It's just not for her. So there's lots of different ways you can become more mindful and get the benefit. And we're going to talk about how this paradox or this misunderstanding of mindfulness, once you understand it, you can get more of the benefit. Now, let's start with the benefit first, though. What is the benefit of being more mindful? And to put it more simply, you understand what's going on when it's going on, right? Something's happening in front of you, and you're able just to take in as much information as is available that's relevant in that moment, so you understand more, so you miss less, so you can perform better. Whether that performance relates to a skill and understanding the environment, or an interpersonal kind of interaction, or both. Anything that's going on in the environment that you can sense or feel, being mindful helps you grasp that better. So, again, we're not going to do any meditation today, no deep breathing. I love it. I know it's not for everyone, but that's not what we're going to talk about. So, instead, what we're going to do to illustrate in sort of a fun kind of way, if you're open to it, mindfulness, is we're going to take our minds away, right? So, I just want you for a moment to think about a wonderful vacation you've been on, maybe your favorite vacation. Where was it? What was the temperature? What were the activities? What was it like? So I'm just going to go quiet for about 20, 30 seconds, and I just want you to just drift away and go to that place. Okay, I hope you're there and you're enjoying it. And in just a moment, we're going to bring our minds back to where you are. And the way we're going to do that, one way you can do it, if you're open to it, is take your finger like this and flick yourself in the face as hard as you're willing to do, right? So when that happens, where'd your mind go, right? Did it stay in Greece or at the Poconos or wherever you like to go on vacation, the Grand Canyon? No, you came right back to where you are right here, right now. Why the heck would Joe tell me to flick myself in the face? That's just crazy. Now, one of the paradoxes of mindfulness is, and one of the things that kind of gets people tripped up, is they think it's all about your mind and controlling your mind, right? Like sitting there and, not thinking of nothing, which, is almost impossible to do, right? So, what mindfulness is really more about is being where you are, where your physical body is, and having the attention to understand what's going there instead of your mind, what I like to call time traveling, which is going into the future or going into the past, or maybe even place traveling, right? Going someplace else other than where you are right now. And the reason and the way we do this and the gate to get there, and here's the paradox, it's not your mind, it's your body. Your body is actually the gate to mindfulness. That's why when your mind was on a wonderful vacation and you flicked yourself or slapped yourself, boom, your body triggered something and you're like, wait a second, I just felt something, and your mind came exactly back to the present moment. So we have lots of senses and lots of different ways we can do this. I'm not espousing for you to go into your next meeting and slap yourself in the face when you need attention. I don't do that. I don't think you should do that. Let's use a rose as an example, right? So whether you like flowers or not, roses are very fragrant. And let's say you smell the rose, right? If you really love the smell of roses, you'll be like, wow, what a wonderful smell. If you're allergic to it or you can't stand the perfumey smell of a rose, you'll immediately be like, oh, I got to get out of here because this rose smells so terrible, right? You can appreciate visually the color of the rose, right? How deep it is, whether how the light is reflecting on it. That's another thing that brings your mind into the present moment, which is really all mindfulness is at its sort of core principle. Another thing about mindfulness, and that was kind of similar to the flick that we did, is the touch. So let's say you feel the texture of the petals versus the texture of the stem, and then maybe as you're feeling the stem, you prick yourself, right? So that's your sense of touch, and that also brings you back to the present moment. We also have your sense of hearing. So if you would, just for a moment, maybe just 5 or 10 seconds, I'm going to be quiet and just listen to what you hear in the environment. All right? So what did you hear? Did you hear nature outside if you're near a window? I actually heard my house creaking because the heat came on and something shifting around, so I could actually hear the boards moving. Maybe you heard people in the next room, or you heard, if you're near a busy street, you heard traffic or people or horns, right? What you'll notice is when you're not quite fully there, those sounds can all recede into the background, and you actually are not getting all that information. And that's not necessarily a bad thing when you're concentrating on something else. However, when you're trying to be mindful of what's going on right now at a given moment, hearing is another one of your senses, another part of your body that really gives you a great sense of what's going on and brings you into the moment, because hearing is a very powerful sense of ours. And now, on to one of my favorites, which is your sense of taste. I remember the first time I had funnel cake. I couldn't believe how delicious it was. Believe me, my mind was right there with the powdered sugar, with the funnel cake, right? So that's another way that your senses can be triggered to be right there when you have some food and you're actually tasting the food, because sometimes we just eat the food and we're not tasting it. We're in a rush. And they actually have like tasting type meditation or mindfulness that people do to try to train themselves, or at least to appreciate that. You don't need to do all that. If you do, I think it's great. But just think about the next time you have something delicious, just see where your mind is. Your mind is actually there with the food that you're eating. And I want to wrap up with one sense that often gets ignored. It might be called intuition or your sixth sense. It's kind of that feeling that comes from inside your body. And think about when you're a baby or the way babies are, right? They're not overthinking things. Like their body senses something and they react, they cry, they smile. It's very intuitive. And something happens as we get older that we kind of paper over that intuition and we try to recorrect it, or we try to paste it over with thoughts or what other people have told us we should be thinking or feeling. And I think that that's a shame because it's actually taking away from a level or a layer of information and mindfulness, which is free, natural, and easy. It just comes to us as part of living and being a human being. Doesn't mean it should control you, but it means it's part of all the other senses that you get, like your sight, your sound, your vision, your taste, your feel, your smell, that you can include that sense as well as you make sense of what's going on and decide what to do next. My name is Joe Kwan, and thank you for coming to Executive Tune Up. I hope this has been helpful as I explain the mindfulness paradox. I encourage you to be more mindful in the various moments of your life. I think everyone who's around you will appreciate it, and you'll get a lot of benefits as well. And who knows, you may be, people may notice that there's something different about you, you're more engaging, and you have more executive presence. My name is Joe Kwan, the Connection Counselor. And remember, to do your best, you have to be at your best. So tune in to Tune Up.